Yo and hello, welcome to another episode of the League of Fantasy Legends podcast. I am Pistons Wish, aka Chris Benedict. This is FairstBiscut. Biscuit, how are you? Uh-oh, I messed up the thing. Let me get this fixed up. Holy moly. We can't see a Biscuit. We can't see a...
Shucks.
Let's see. Alright, we fixed it. What's up, Biscuit? How are you, man? How's it going?
I'm hanging in there. It's been a long weekend, but...
I feel you. We're recording this Sunday night.
I'll be back doing a podcast. We have to go Sunday night.
Sorry, say that again. I kind of lost you there.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing. Sunday night, obviously a long week. A lot of action happening. Long weekend, my end at least. So, yeah, I'm just excited to be here to talk some League of Legends fantasy. Ready to get you guys ready for your week 2, and hopefully you guys can come out with a win.
That's right. As we were recording this, Bengals Chiefs going on. Very close game as I saw it last. I believe it was... Hold on, I've got everything on the wrong screen here. I am going crazy. Okay, as we saw it last, 13-13. You pulling for anyone here? Bengals versus Chiefs?
I like Joey B. I don't have a horse in the race per se, so we'll see. I mean, Super Bowl's 2 weeks away, so I'm sure we got time to debate.
That's right. I was sad about the 49ers game. I know you're a Cowboys fan. Does that mean you hate the Eagles? Is that how that works?
Not really. I mean, it's crazy in my area. There's a lot of Eagles fans, so I saw stuff earlier that they were tearing down. Well, I shouldn't say tearing down, but they were on top of street lights and at least pulling parts of the street light off from what I saw. So I don't know.
I hope that they burned a few couches the Michigan State way. Obviously, I'm here pretty close to Michigan State. It's just what we do when we win. We burn couches. So let's go. Follow us on our social medias. You can find it here on the screen or in the description of the podcast episode. Twitter is at LFL Pod. The Discord, it's at LFL Pod. FantasyLCS, you can find that link on Twitch, on Twitter. That's the place to go for FantasyLCS discussion. People are still making leagues. We're talking through the games as they happen. Sometimes people throw in fun little stats. You had the best one here. Neo outscored Berserker this week. And I know you're a noted Neo fan. So tell me about that.
It's mind-boggling. We'll get into it more, obviously as we go through the teams and how they performed in the past week. But I mean, according to standard sleeper scoring, no deviation of the stats whatsoever. Technically, Neo did outscore Berserker. I mean, that was just one of a few crazy stats for the week, but that one definitely jumped off the page as far as I'm concerned.
It's amazing. Not that specifically, but just the game of Fantasy LCS. Man, it's a weird game. It's such a weird game. You can follow us on YouTube, too. We'll find the episodes we're streaming live now. Obviously, here we are on Twitch. You can find those on YouTube. Tuesday nights, I'm doing picks and bans. You can also find that. That's the best place to get those right and win those matchups. So get there. I want to start talking about the Super League. Obviously, we've got a pretty solid team. We came away with a big win here in Week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone performed as expected, except maybe, Jensen, not the best. Hopefully we can pull through, have a better week 2. Doesn't look likely, unfortunately, but, we do have a very big matchup coming up for week 2 here.
Yeah, not the best. It's one way to put it. He scored 20 points in 2 games. So, I mean, that's brutal. We were kind of bailed out by the fact that Kenvy was worse. Obviously, you got to pick one of the bottom 3 teams. Delfino went with Kenvy. Turns out that Bug-Eye was the play. Bug-Eye, a favorite of the pod solely because of his name.
I'm pretty sure it was confirmed, at least from the tidbits I got from TSM matches. I think they pronounced it Boogie.
They definitely did, and I don't care. I do not care, not even one bit. It's Bug-Eye. What a week from Bug-Eye. We'll get there too. Look at this score here from Gordo. 414. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, that's 414 with a sub at the mid position there in Young over Gory
That's
for the
right.
week. So when you have, I think, what was that, two of the top three scorers in all fantasy, you're probably gonna win. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you can't pull up the matchups for other teams on desktop on Sleeper. So Sleeper, if you're listening into this, will you get on that? I got it on my phone. Fudge with the Casante pick went for 167.
That's good.
167. Trees only scored 182. Oh my god. Yeah. So Prince and Fudge on the same team. Yeah, nicely done from Gordo. But hey, we got our win. Next week we play. Let's see. Next week we get Live Evil. So that'll be a good one. Live Evil. We've been interacting with him a lot on Twitter. Good guy. Gonna take a loss next week though. Sorry, bro.
We'll see how it goes.
All right, I want to get into just recapping last week. It was a fun week.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday schedules, a little funky. Definitely takes some getting used to. But I kind of liked it. I kind of liked having the weekend to just chill, prepare for the pod here. I just missed the first game or two because of work. I have it on, but can't really pay attention. Thank goodness for VODs. Okay, so I want to talk about where we were right. We did some things right last week. Not everything. Certainly not everything. I had TSM ranked pretty high. Right? We put them at 4 or 5. We knew they had a pretty nice matchup. They beat Team Liquid. I wouldn't say we expected it, but we definitely knew it was possible. And then we both picked them to beat Immortals, so I thought that was pretty good. We were correct about Golden Guardians, Immortals, and Dig being bad. I mean, I don't think we get too much credit for that. But, we'll take what we can get. You faded CLG, which was both right and wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they had an okay week, fantasy speaking. Definitely not in the top tier. I'm sure if you look back at your scores, I would assume if you won, it definitely wasn't a reason, being CLG had good games against fantasy speaking wise. But yeah, I mean, they just came out and absolutely dominated Dig. And then, they pulled out, I should say, what I would say is, an upset versus EG. So yeah, I mean, I think they had a solid week, non-fantasy speaking, obviously for themselves, but fantasy speaking, I think there's still some hesitation moving forward.
Yeah, non-fantasy wise, I mean, they were great. They went 2-0. They beat EG, who we both had as favorites to win the whole stinking split. But look at these scores. Palafox 56, which fine, but not great. Loser 47. Those are terrible scores for wins. You get that in a loss, you're happy. You get those in wins, what are they going to do when they lose? I don't know. I've got a little bit of fantasy hesitation here.
Yeah, no, definitely. They only had one player finish in the top 20 in scoring. Again, they were 2-0, and the only player to finish again in the top 20 was Contracts.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, both Contracts, Palafox, and Dokla, they were only players, 3 out of the 5 to finish in the top 5 at their position. So it was definitely points to go around. They just didn't happen to come into CLG's favor in that case.
Yeah, I was going to wait a little bit to pull this up, but I'll just do it now. You can see on the screen, Biscuit put together all these stats. The link to this is in the Discord. I believe you also tweeted it out, and so you're going to want to see these stats. These are going to help you make the decisions. Thanks, Biscuit, for doing this. This is amazing. I got 2 pages. This page is all of the scores just ranked by score, right? You can see their scores here. That's their total score for the week, divided by 2 points per game. This one I have ordered by position. So as you can see, Loser, 7. Behind Yan, 6. Yan went 0-2. Loser went 2-0. How does this happen?
I don't know. I mean, I guess... I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Exactly.
Kind of... Which doesn't even make any sense now that it's coming out of my mouth and I'm getting a second to think about it more. I know with standard super scoring, you get a lot more points for, or it's more weighted towards like how teams perform as far as like getting objectives and whatnot. But again, Liquid went 0-2 versus CLG went 2-0. So clearly, in some sense here, right, CLG is getting more of those objectives, you would think. So how that happens, I just don't know for sure.
Yeah, the team scoring for Sleeper, like it's almost like it kind of favors teams that get ahead early, almost more than teams that win, right? Because you get those early dragons, you get the early towers. Those are all team points. If you wait till the end, give up all the towers, give up all the dragons, and then steal an Elder Drake and win the game, I mean, I guess the objective points are just less. I mean, just crazy that Loser is 7 after going 2-0. Like, how does that happen? We'll get more into these recaps here. Another thing we were wrong is Team Liquid. We kind of brought up for a second. You had Core JJ as your lock of the week. I had him ranked number 2. I had Summit ranked number 2. And we were pretty wrong there. We'll talk about Team Liquid a little bit later, but what do you think? Are you afraid? No, let's not. Let's skip that. We're going to get to that later.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah. Talk about who stunk. So we'll get into the duds. Dig, obviously, Dig was bad. We didn't have huge expectations for Dig, but what's that meme say? Like, holy F, our expectations were low, and you still were worse than them. I mean, family-friendly show. Dig was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna jump into the Dig, I mean, obviously, I'm self-proclaimed Dig fan, so I'm gonna take a few extra seconds if that's okay, just to talk about Dig. I mean,
do it up.
Yeah, fantasy-wise, it was ridiculous. It was like watching Immortals last split, and I don't know.
Honestly,
again, we can get into it a little bit more, like with Jensen and Santorin, like from just taking a step back, right? Like we know the spending is down for teams across the board. At least that's what I heard and what I have seen reported. Yep. So I'm assuming at this point, or I shouldn't say assume, but I'm questioning, like, hey, did both these players just go out and try to find equal pay or like an equal salary for the split? Is that why you took the Dig gig, or like what? Because whatever that was last week is just not going to happen, like not going to work, obviously. Like, I mean, me personally, like, yeah, I'm not hitting the panic button yet by any means. And I mean, I don't think they're going to favor Will this coming week either, but I was expecting like a way better showing, or at least some kind of fight, right? I think I actually had them pick the over CLG, so good pick there for me. But no, like Jensen and Armood all finished 9th, and like Spawn and Biofrost, like okay, well I'll take it one by way. Like he had a few games last week, and he was okay. It really wasn't like showing out or like a standout by any means. But what do I have here? He had 0.10 points. That's like lower than Ignar levels. And Ignar's on this team, and he hasn't even played yet. And there's still worse players on this team right now than Ignar. What are we doing?
And it's all time bad.
Me personally,
over 2 games?
GM, and I'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
What's that?
Over 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
Yeah, so, I mean, at this point, I'm like, get them the first half of the split, and then if he's not at least improving pretty spectacularly, I'm looking for the next players. I think that's just not going to work if you want to win anytime soon. And then Biofrost, I don't know if he just got out of the shower. Like, dude is washed at this point. I don't know what's going on.
That's disgusting. What you just said is disgusting.
Did he just take his skin, and like, is he like a skinwalker now and like wearing Biofrost skin? I don't know what's going on, but this is so embarrassingly bad, and it doesn't get any easier going into next week. So I don't know. I mean, I hope it's just a matter of them still learning one another, which I assume it is. Again, I'm like, my hand is hovering above the panic meter at this point. But I guess we'll see how it goes, and that's all. I'll just leave it at that.
So 0.05 average, 0.1 on the week has to be the lowest week we've ever seen. Have we seen anything worse than that? And it's from an 80 carry. It's not even a support who died a bunch. This guy got points for farming. Like, my goodness, 0.50 was the 0.50 was the score.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure we have seen negative finish.
Okay.
A given.
What, Ignar last split?
More than likely a player from Immortals split. probably Ignar, but no, I mean, this is historically low for sure. I'm sure it's in the bottom 5 I would put out there without looking exactly for like 80 carries. So I don't know, but let's just move on. There's literally nothing else to say.
So Spawn, we had unanimously number 7, right? With Dignitas, we had number 7. That means he's owned in most leagues. Are you dropping him for Neo? Are you dropping him for Stixay? Because I think I am. I think I might be.
I was thinking about it too. I was thinking about waivers, especially for Neo, if he's just going to show out. Oh, by the way, Neo, thank you very much for showing up last split with those kind of numbers. Appreciate it.
It's the dig debuff, yeah.
Right. I mean, if I had to make a decision today, I would say no.
Okay.
I would give it this week. And if it's as bad this week, I just don't think. I think you factor in like your confidence, because if you were like, "Hey, I'm going to drop him this week," I would completely understand that. I don't think that's necessarily the wrong move. But after this coming week, absolutely, because the season's not long enough for you to jeopardize the rest of your weeks, especially if it's costing you games. Right, you got to at least try to make some moves and make things happen. So yeah, I would give it this week, and then after that, I would drop whoever you consider not worth having, regardless of the position. But on for sure.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree. Immortals was also terrible. We expected this. We all had them 10th in the power rankings. We all had them being the worst. I wanted to point out one particularly poor player, which was Ablaze Olive. I believe you went on record last episode calling him the worst mid in the LCS, even worse than Bolulu, who's going to be his replacement. That seems like it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I have my notes right here. Blaze Olive is so bad equals disrespect warranted. So
yeah.
I stand by that. I mean, I can't imagine Bolulu's worse, and if he is, no disrespect to Bolulu, but I'm sure somebody should be getting fired if that's the case on Immortals' end. So I don't know. I'm not sure what else to say about. I mean, Immortals was just as bad as advertised. I guess if you're a Immortals fan, the bonus is they outscored Dig overall from a fantasy perspective as a team. So good job, Immortals. That's the bonus.
There you go. There you go. Blaze Olive 0-9-2 over 2 games, and he was particularly bad in that second game. I was watching. He just kind of randomly died a couple times. Like, he was particularly bad. Immortals, as we go kind of through it, 9th, 10th, 10th, 9th. I don't have numbers here. 10th. So, yeah, they were bad. Dignitas was just slightly worse. Golden Guardians was bad. We warned you about this, if only because of their matchups, right? They played EG and C9, which I think most people would agree are top 2, top 3 teams. But they looked okay against EG. What do you think about Golden Guardians?
Yeah, I mean, River, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is a weird week. It's like 7 into the Twilight Zone for me as a fan for
former Dig players.
I always was down on River. Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey guys, thanks so much for showing up last time you were on the team, but whatever, it is what it is. But no, I mean, River had a really good game, first fantasy points speaking wise. He actually led the team for the week with fantasy standard scoring for Sleeper at about 44 points, and he actually outscored Piosic for the week. So I mean, take that for whatever it's worth. Again, there's really no reason to have any Golden Guardians players in your team at this point, unless you were stuck drafting them. And unfortunately, it's out, at least from the small sample of statistics that we have, they did allow the most points as a team for the first week. So I'm sure the teams they play this week, I got to look exactly who they are. But they're going to be chomping at the bit to get into these games and get you guys your fantasy points, because it's looking like open season when you play Golden Guardians as far as obtaining points.
Well, yeah, Cloud9 went off against them, and then Evil Geniuses, realistically, when the game gets drawn out like that, the scores go high. So definitely seems like Golden Guardians might be a team to target. There might be a team to target. Yeah, we'll talk about this later, but another tough week coming up for Golden Guardians, if I remember right. Team Liquid stunk. We already talked about that. And then CLG was bad, even in wins, like weirdly bad, worse than teams that lost both games. So, and then the last one. Okay, did you have something to pop in on that?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, because I'm always the optimist here. So, I mean, there's so much for those extra hours and extra practice that we had to listen to about, at least constantly, like every other line that was said from the casters during any time Liquid was brought up. So, good on you guys. I'm glad that worked out for you. But I don't know. I would assume they get back on track, at least for their sake. Or, I mean, I wouldn't want to keep practicing, quote unquote, so much more than other teams just to go 0-2. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how they do. I think this is the most surprising team that's 0-2 by far. And like you said, Summit didn't really look up to par. But I guess we'll see if they can get back on track for this coming week. Yeah,
that narrative is just old to me. I don't care how much you practice. Like, obviously, do your job, but like, I work in sports medicine, athletic training, right? And that's like a thing. It's like a part of the culture of it. It's like, oh, look at me, I worked 70 hours this week. I'm kind of like, congratulations, I worked 40 and went home to my wife and kid. Like, I don't know why it's such a badge of honor. I've never understood that. Just, prioritize your life, not just this. And the rest of it just falls together. Jojopyun was horrendous. I mean, bad.
Yeah, I mean, someone get the kid an alarm clock because it's time to wake up. I mean, what are we doing over there? He looked sketchy, against Golden Guardians, and then we figured he bounced back, and he was okay. I mean, I'm not sure. He finished sixth in the mid, for this week, and that's absolutely not where we thought he would finish. So, I don't know. I mean, Inspired had a really good game. FBI was also really good. He finished in 80 carry for the week. Mm-hmm. So that definitely looked like they're ready to go. But no, I mean, Vulcan, I have as a 5th place finish as well. Weren't expecting that. Definitely, I would assume he was the consensus number 1 support amongst just about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to get things back. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I would assume they are able to get things back on track, but hopefully it takes some, not as much time, moving forward.
Yeah, I was kind of alone, I feel like, this offseason. From a fantasy perspective, being low on Jojopyun. Obviously, I had him number 2. I had him behind Bjorksen in rankings. Bjorksen wasn't great, but is better than Jojo. He's just so willing to sacrifice for his team, and I think we saw that. And he was 0-6-0 or something, or maybe 0-5, and then
I thought he
suicided himself into the fountain at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some grumpy people on Twitter about that death.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, looking at who was good this week, TSM is by far the ones to look at. They were really good. When we look at, obviously they got 2 wins, but we see Neo as the 3rd AD carry. We see Bug Eye. I almost said Boogie. How Bug Eye at number 2 and Maple was number 1. Maple was the top scoring mid laner. So TSM. I mean, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the most surprising 2-0 team coming out of week 1. You mentioned all their placings as far as the players go. They currently sit at number 2 as a team in offensive scoring.
Mm-hmm.
From a fantasy perspective, that's definitely huge. I mean, that's a surprise in itself, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very, very tall task this coming week, especially with both the teams that they play looking to get back on track and up to par to where we would figure they'd be. Even though it's only week 2, but still. So I think we're going to find out real quick if this team is legit or not. Because I think maybe they go 2-0 if they can carry the momentum into this week 2. But I think 0-2 is also, not out of the question here either.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that, right? We'll talk about.
We'll get into that.
What this week will hold, but I mean, last week they were great. And I want to credit us a little bit because we a little bit predicted it. We had them mostly in the top half, and so good for us, good for TSM. You mentioned this a little bit, but FBI and Inspired were good, even though they went 1-1. As you look through this, you can see they scored higher than some of the teams. I mean, FBI was second for his position despite the loss. I had FBI number 1 overall on the year to start, and so I'm feeling pretty good about that, considering he's 2 with a loss. I feel like if they can bounce back, then he'll be there. Inspired was third at his position. We already talked about Jojopyun and Vulcan, but yeah, they were pretty good. Who else was good was Prince. Prince was insane.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not going to be crowned the king soon enough and change his name, I'm not sure what's going on here. But yeah, he definitely took everyone by storm. As you mentioned, number one, he carry for the week. Definitely had FlyQuest. I mean, I know there was a lot of questions, right, surrounding FlyQuest. I know it kind of seemed like the camps were either, hey, they're going to win split, or we're waiting to see what's going to happen. And considering that, at least they are still trying to figure things out, I would say. And they don't even have Ayla playing yet. They dominated in both of their wins. So look out. And we're going to find out this week, too, because they do have Cloud9 this week. So we're going to find out who the top team is in week 2. We get that honor.
Yeah, I heard that some idiot said that Prince wasn't going to be that good this week. They said he wouldn't be top 3. Some idiot. I don't know who it was. Yeah, some stupid dummy. I think his co-host partner said that's a bold pick. Yeah, it is as a subtle, nice way of saying you're an idiot. I don't remember who it was though, so don't worry about it. 14-1-4. No, 19-1-4. I had it right the first time. 19-1-4. I mean, any other week, if we didn't have a pop off from the player we're going to talk about next, then Prince would have been the player of the week. But unfortunately, his good week came at the same time as another player. Last team to talk about top performers, C9. How about it? I had them at, I think, 4, maybe 3. I think I had them at 3. I think you had them a little higher. They were... I mean,
I had them at 1.
Did you have them winning? Yeah, you did. You did. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Power ranking, I had them at 1 coming in.
They stopped both games. Neither game was anywhere remotely close. 100 Thieves destroyed them. Golden Guardians destroyed them. They were awesome. What else can you say? Blabber was amazing. 15-3-18, scored 92 points. Second best player on the week. If we pull up the overall ones here, see Blabber was number 2, Prince number 3. But he was outdone by his partner in the top lane, the player of the week for this week, the LFL FOD, fantasy player of the week, if you will. It was Fudge. Tell me about Fudge.
Yeah, so, I mean, Fudge absolutely dominating. Only player to go over 100 points for this week, obviously leading the way. Crazy, or I shouldn't say craziest stat, because nothing will beat the Neo over Berserker, for me at least.
Yeah.
But that's of the week is Fudge. He had more points than Cloud9 allowed the entire weekend in the 2 games. But they haven't given up 100 points yet as Fudge goes over 100 points.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
Take that for what it's worth. I just think that was kind of crazy. Yeah, especially, it's not like they were playing Immortals and Golden Guardians. I mean, yeah, they play Golden Guardians, but they had 100 Thieves, and still they just didn't give up points. And Fudge has just dominated this week. So I'm assuming I think they have the hardest schedule for week 2, and again, we'll get into that in a little bit. But we're gonna find out for sure if they're the best team in this league right now, this coming week. So I'm sure it's gonna be a crazy week for them.
Yeah, 111 points for Fudge, 14-2-25 in their 2 wins. I mean, that's just huge. I'm not sure we'll see numbers like that again. And I want to bring up specifically, obviously he was really good. Just the gap between him and second place. This is not total points. This is points per game. So he currently has a 26 point per game lead on the second best top laner, which was Solo. I mean, he scored 52 more points than any other top laner. He had 14 kills. Next best was Dokla with 6. I mean, oh gosh.
And you mentioned he had 25 assists. Yeah, that's currently second in the league.
Yeah, second in the league in assists. Just going off. I wanted to bring up this. This is the Super League draft. I want you to, before you look at it, I want you to guess where Fudge went in this draft.
Did he go in the first 2 rounds?
No.
Even?
No, he went 3-6. 3-6 to Gordo.
Oh,
So,
okay.
What is that? 8, 16, He went 22nd pick overall. Fudge, the 4th top laner. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? Why didn't we take Fudge?
Good thing we're experts.
Yeah, experts. That's what we are. Quick check-in. Chiefs have scored. Patrick Mahomes fumbles, though. Here we go. All right, back on track. Where are we at? I want to get into power rankings. I want to start kind of from the bottom. We're already pretty over time. We've already gone 30 minutes, so we'll go through this relatively quickly. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some standings here. But power rankings, who do you got at 10?
So same as last week, I have Immortals currently at 10th.
Yep, me too. We've already talked about it. They got blown out in the first game, and then they got... Or I guess the first game was kind of close. The second game was a total blowout against CLG. They kept it close against TSM for 15 minutes. They're not going to win many games this split. They're 10th in my rankings across the board. Stay away from Immortals. 9 is, I think, the first decision you have to make, and I'm going to go Dignitas, I think. They looked really bad. They just kind of had nothing. Bot lane was as bad as we could have feared. Who do you got 9?
So 9, I have Golden Guardians dropping a spot from 8th. I mean, yeah, they did show a little bit against Evil Geniuses, but I can't believe I'm even saying this. I guess Evil Geniuses needs the time to figure out how much better the roster is than last split. So, yeah, I mean, again, they gave them a run and just get run over by Cloud9. So, I mean, I don't foresee them getting any better, perhaps. I mean, I'm sure they'll get a couple more wins, obviously, but I don't know. I don't see them competing.
Yeah, I don't think we really learned anything about Golden Guardians this week. I mean, they played EG and C9, which I don't want to spoil the rest of my power rankings, but they're the top 2 teams. And so I'm not sure we learned anything. We'll learn more this week, so I didn't want to punish them. I have Golden Guardians at 8. That's where I had them last week. Who do you got 8, if not Golden Guardians?
Yeah, so I have Gage dropping a spot to 8th this week. I'm not ready to hit the panic button quite yet. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're 0-4, and perhaps either Golden Guardians or Immortals pick up a win somehow. And then, they're obviously ranked ahead of them from just a pure win standpoint. But I don't know. I just can't, whatever you want to call the dig fan of me, I can't put them below Golden Guardians and Immortals head to head at this point.
That's fair. I mean, if you look at our preseason power rankings, realistically, we would have expected Dig and Golden Guardians to both go 0-2. And so, again, did we really learn anything this week? 7 is kind of tough. Did you drop Team Liquid that much for their loss?
I did. I have them currently at 7th. Obviously, I think they're, at least on paper still, it is very, very early, but I think they're by far the best 0-2 team currently. And we'll get into, obviously, the rest of the rankings here. There's plenty of time for them to turn it around. I would foresee them at least climbing a little bit, if not. I shouldn't even say much because I don't know. Obviously, it was really young here. Right now, I have them at 7th, the best 0-2 team currently.
Yeah, and they could turn it around, but I don't really have too much faith, to be honest. 6 is where I put TSM. TSM reminds me a little bit of CLG in the summer last time, or in the summer split, where they came out hot. Nobody really believed in them, and then they kind of kept it up. Ended up finishing 4th. I don't see that from TSM. They got a nice win over Team Liquid. Then they beat Immortals, which we kind of expected them to. Did you put TSM here at 6?
Yeah, so TSM is actually tied for, at least in my opinion, in my rankings, for the biggest jump of the week.
For sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically one line to sum it up is welcome to the show, right? Because nobody, I don't think, expected them to really do much this split. And so the fact that we're talking about them ahead of Liquid, and then obviously kind of in the mix with some of the teams that were going to, just ahead of them. Who knows? I mean, I think they're going to be brought back to earth a little bit this coming week, as we'll get into a little bit later in the show. But we'll see how things go. And, for the time being, I have them at 6.
Yep, me too. I don't have too much faith. I don't think they'll finish the year at 6, but I think right now you got to rank them there until Team Liquid can prove that they've figured something out. 5, I had a lot of trouble with. Mostly because I've become a CLG fan, and I feel like this is where most people would have CLG. But I'm kind of a truther. I like CLG. If we're talking fantasy rankings, definitely fifth. I think fantasy-wise, they're well below the other four teams that we haven't mentioned yet. But from a wins and losses perspective, I kept them there. I put 100 Thieves at 5. I think all the top 5 teams are good. That's what I'll leave it at. I got 100 Thieves 5, CLG 4.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have 100 Thieves 5 as well, just because we really don't know what to expect of them. I think we're going to find out a little bit more this week for sure.
Definitely.
They do play TSM. Yeah, they do play TSM, as we'll get into a little bit later. So I think that's the first test of the week. I would foresee them winning that game. But yeah, I mean, I think they are the clear 5th out of the top 5 that I have, which obviously is why I have them ranked 5th. But I don't know. I think there's just still a lot to be shown from this team yet, as early as it is.
Yeah.
And then you said it's 4, so I'll just jump right into it. Right? I have Evil Geniuses at 4.
Oh, okay.
Knocking them down a couple of pegs, just because I don't know how long it's going to take them to get going, and just because obviously it's week 2. This is where I have them now. I would foresee them moving up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm not sure. Not that I'm not confident, because I am confident they'll move up. I just don't know how long it's going to take them to get everybody on the same page and to start dominating like I believe they can. So who do you have going in for number 3?
Yeah, I have FlyQuest at 3. I think that's probably lower than most. I like FlyQuest, but their games really they went so heavily into Prince. Like they really, like from a fantasy perspective, no one else performed that well. No one else was really given that much. Prince, I mean, to be fair, he did well with it. He popped off a lot like what Cloud9 did with Berserker at the end of last year. But I don't know. I think that if you pigeonhole yourself into one style of play, then a team might be able to take that away. I don't know. I've got Fly at 3.
Yeah, so for 3, I mentioned TSM with the tie for the biggest jump. The biggest jump that they're tied with would be CLG. I have at 3. They just stomped Dignitas. That was ridiculous. And then obviously they beat Evil Geniuses. So I think for sure at this point they are ahead of them going into week 2. I think they do have Cloud9 this week, so we'll see. We're going to find out what this team is made of as well. So, at the end of this week. So that's who I have at 3. Who do you have at 2 then?
I had EG at 2. I am not off the EG bandwagon. If you look at both games, kind of followed a similar script. Yeah, both times EG got out to a huge lead in the early game, and it was just that mid game that they really struggled. Like they just couldn't set up the objectives right. They ended up, against Golden Guardians, dragging it out really long, and then same thing against CLG, except for CLG had a Sivir, and if you let Sivir go to 40 minutes against a lethality Varus, then you have no chance. And so I'm not too scared for Evil Geniuses. I still have them at 2.
Yeah, so for 2, I actually have FlyQuest. Obviously you got them 3, so we're kind of in the same neighborhood, at least as far as the ranking goes. And they just thrashed people this weekend. I mean, they've given up the least amount of points of any team from a fantasy perspective, even less than Cloud9 actually. So I guess you could technically say they dominated their wins even harder than Cloud9. And I think it's for lack of a better word, it's kind of scary, right? Because I don't think this team is even at their peak yet. So not only saying that, so just to kind of bring it back a little bit, like there's going to be the other team still trying to figure them out, right? Too, because they scrim them, but they don't have probably as tape, or they're clearly gaining tape as we go on here and reviewing the bots and learning their play style and their drafts and whatnot. In addition to all the scrims that they're doing against FlyQuest, the other teams that is. So I still think it's kind of like everyone's learning them and they're just kind of trying to figure themselves out. So we'll see how they're able to adapt as the season moves forward.
Yeah, for sure. FlyQuest it totally makes sense to me that they had given up the least amount of points because the game seemed slow, seemed methodical. They kind of got little advantages. Prince gets a penta and they win the game. I mean, he didn't actually get a penta, he got a quadra, but whatever. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then C9, we both have at 1. They were so dominant, fantasy-wise, amazing. The thing that's so scary about C9 is that when they were dominating in the summer playoffs, it was behind like solely Berserker. And Berserker didn't really do anything. He was the number 4 AD carry, which is like I mean, it's good. It's not that good. It's not what we expected from him. It was the top side of the map, and if you can play through the top side,
pick overall.
Yeah, exactly. And so if they can play through the top side and the bot side, that's terrifying. I mean, that is scary. So let's look into next week. We'll start with going through match by match. I don't think I want to go through and do really any explanations here because we're already 40 minutes in. We want to talk about our rankings. Thursday's matches: CLG versus C9, FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians, Dig versus 100 Thieves, Immortals versus TL, TSM versus EG. We got CLG versus C9 being the big one of the first big one of the day, I should say. C9 is minus 230 betting favorites. Any thoughts here? I don't know. You see any upsets on the horizon? Any games you're really excited for?
So upsets. Let's see. I mean, I don't know. I mean that TSM and Evil Genius game sticks out as like screaming upset. I can't pull the trigger.
No
TSM
way. I don't see it.
But, I mean, I guess I think that's the most realistic upset.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if CLG wants to prove themselves, they'll win against Cloud9. I think that would be the other upset I see here, at least for the first.
Yeah, CLG, they'll have to survive against C9's. I mean, early game and mid game, they were dominating. We'll see if Dokla can survive against Fudge. We'll see if Contracts can hold up against Blabber, and if the mid lane can hold up against Berserker. I mean, who knows? I'll be circling that one. I think that'll be fun to watch. I mean, I think FlyQuest rolls. I think 100 Thieves rolls. I think Team Liquid gets back on track against Immortals. I think EG rolls. I don't know. I don't really see any upsets. Looking at Friday's matches. Friday, we got FlyQuest versus C9. Now, that's going to be a fun one. We got Dig versus EG, TSM 100 Thieves, Team Liquid Golden Guardians, Immortals versus CLG. What do you think of these ones?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Fly versus Cloud9 is the game of the week for sure.
Agreed.
Right after that, we get the upset of the week with Dig over Evil Geniuses.
Stop it. You don't believe that. You don't believe that.
I don't even understand this line. Yeah, I don't. Why Dig should be like the biggest? That should be the biggest underdog. I guess Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest. Never mind that.
Yeah.
That's
so you're talking betting lines. We've got betting lines here. EG is only minus 200 against Dig. I agree. That should be way bigger. FlyQuest actually favored against C9, minus 150. 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, CLG, all pretty heavy favorites in their matches. I'm going to put you on the spot. You like FlyQuest or C9 to win that game on Friday?
I mean, I don't even know. I was going to say, considering FlyQuest has a warm-up game, and C9 is going to be coming off that big
against
battle
CLG.
versus CLG. I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go FlyQuest in that game versus Cloud9. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, I think this game's a toss-up. It'll be fun to see Berserker versus Prince. Excuse me. I'm going C9. I mean, they kind of crushed their way through that first week. I think they're more complete, at least so far. So I'll take C9 there. Other than that, I pretty much have chalk.
Right.
So let's get into rankings. I'm going to pull up my rankings here. We'll get your rankings on the screen afterwards. I'm really interested to know where you put TSM, because that was the hardest one for me. Do you believe in them? Do you not? I know you put the question in about our Super League. We've got Jensen in the mid lane. Jensen was terrible. Do we drop Jensen for Maple? And my answer was we better look at the schedules and see who they play. They play the same schedule. They play the same schedule.
You definitely want to factor in, the schedule for sure. But and then just take a couple of steps back here. I have my. I shouldn't say. Well, yeah, they are my stats, right? So it's projections I put together. It's basically all numbers, but obviously, if you're taking a look at it, you'll see TSM is incredibly high, coming off of their performances from last week.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily agree with the projections that are coming up here.
I'll pull it up here.
Especially because I do. Okay. Yeah, especially because I do think they're going to be brought back to earth with Evil Geniuses and 100 Thieves, both of who I think are better than them as a team, even right now, even though TSM has a better record. So definitely take whatever projections you're looking at that has TSM high with a grain of salt for sure. But no, I mean, are we dropping Jensen for Maple? I don't know. I mean, it depends on how bad Jensen is or how they perform really, this coming week. If Maple is like average and Jensen's just bad again, I think it's something we absolutely consider after the fact. So we'll see how things go. Like I said, the numbers are showing TSM projections really high just based on the amount of points that not only they scored, but both Evil Geniuses and 100 Thieves had given up to those positions. So it's definitely something to consider. Obviously, when you consider the talent, Maple's going against JoJo and Bjerg. I mean, 1 and 2 or vice versa, however you want to look at it. So I don't know. Is he going to average what this is saying, 30 points a game? No, I'm going to say no. He might average. Don't be surprised if he averages less than half than that a game. I don't know. But who knows? I mean, maybe they can, like I said earlier, they can carry that momentum into this week. Mm-hmm. Maybe they just catch either Evil Geniuses or 100 Thieves off for that day as they're still trying to figure themselves out, or maybe they get both of them, or maybe both of them figure it out and they just backhand TSM back to the bottom of the rankings. I don't know. I guess we'll see. A lot more information to have more. I guess better projections is the right thing to say here moving forward after this week.
Yeah, certainly. I think the numbers, I think they're amazing, but I think there's some limitations early in the year when there's not very much data. I think we come back to these projections in week 6. I think they might be spot on, but there's no way Bug Eye and Maple are one. Let me pull mine back up here. I put it at 7, 8. I don't know. It's tough, right? Especially talking to Jensen versus Maple. Dig gets 100 Thieves and then Evil Geniuses. TSM gets Evil Geniuses and then 100 Thieves. So it's literally the same schedule. So you can't even bring that into consideration. It's just, do you like TSM or Dignitas more? I don't know the answer to that question. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any faith. I shouldn't say any faith, but I think Dignitas is going to go 2 this week. I know you said they play the same schedule. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think they both go 2 this week. To be honest.
Yeah, I guess if I was betting, I would say they both go 0-2. But I wouldn't be surprised if TSM pulls out a win against at least one of them. I don't see, like I said already, I don't see Dignitas getting a win this weekend.
Well, then that sounds like you think we should switch for Maple, which I think I'm okay with. I think I'm fair with that. Another couple people I had a hard time ranking was Team Liquid, mostly because we ranked them high last week and got absolutely burned by them. And so it's hard to rank them high again. And yet you look at the schedule to get Immortals and then Golden Guardians. That's a schedule that you can play really well against. So what did you do? It
definitely doesn't get any better than that, right? So I have them, fairly high. Take last week for what it was. I'm sure they went back and, with their extra 30 hours they're putting in a day, probably looked at quite a bit of tape. What's going on there? I have Jan pretty high because he had a really good week last week. I feel like
considering,
week. He's clearly better. Yeah, he's clearly better than both Stixay and Tactical. So we'll see. I have him at 3. Just taking a quick look here.
Yeah,
I have Piosik
5, Harry 5. Yeah.
I think they're safe picks for sure. I wouldn't be worried at all if you had any Liquid players that you had to start obviously for this week. So I think they're all fine for this week for sure.
Yeah, you have all of them top 5. You still have Core JJ 1. I love it. That is sticking with what you believe. I have him too, so I can't say too much. So we still believe in Team Liquid. We both have them top 5 this week. So there may be a time to cut bait on Team Liquid if they don't perform this week. then you wonder if they're droppable. Because if they drop to Immortals or Golden Guardians, then you know the wheels have fallen off. How about...
I would give them... Yeah. Okay. No, I was just going to...
Yeah, go ahead.
I would give them next week. I would give them next week, too, just because there's no way. There's no way they're worse than the players on Golden Guardians. I don't care what the numbers say. They're not worse than Golden Guardians and Immortals players. No way.
I agree, but if they lose to Immortals and Golden Guardians, let's say that imagine they lose to both of them. That means they've already played Immortals, Golden Guardians, and TSM. Lost all of them, which means their schedule's going to be hard. I don't know. It's not going to happen, so there's no reason to even think about it.
Even so, and that's a really, really good point that I feel like I would be hammering home if I was in your shoes for sure. I would still bet that they outscore any player on whatever team outscores any Golden Guardians, Immortals. I can't say TSM because right now they're sky high, so that wouldn't make sense to me. But definitely Immortals and Golden Guardians. I feel like any player on Liquid right now, regardless of the outcome of this week, will still finish above both of those teams. Any player.
Fair. Yeah, fair.
I'm fairly confident.
Yep. And then last, I want to know who you have across the top. Like, who do you have ranked number one? It's going to look familiar to last week. I've got Evil Geniuses across the top, everywhere except for mid and ADC. I have Bjergsen as the top mid laner. I think 100 Thieves gets 2 wins this week. Dignitas TSM is a pretty easy schedule. Then again, so is TSM Dignitas. Wait, they have the same schedule too. Huh, scheduling's weird this week. I didn't realize that until I said it. And then if Prince won, because FlyQuest just seems to go all in on Prince, and if they win against C9, he's going to be there at the top spot.
Yeah, so, I mean, across the board, I have Fudge at 1. Support, you already mentioned it, Core JJ. Mid, I'm going to go... Man, I mean, right now, the numbers...
The numbers say Maple. Bjergsen. Okay.
Yeah, the numbers I can't agree with this week, but I'm going to go Bjergsen just because of the schedule. I think he finishes number 1. Mm-hmm. Jungle, I'm going to go... Yeah, it's also juicy. I mean, I think Inspired is arguably the top pick or top play just because
that's what I have.
TS. Yep. Yeah. And then for AD carry, I mean, I don't know. We're going to find out what this FlyQuest team is all about. I mean, the numbers do say Prince, and I think that's also true. Or I think that's a realistic possibility. But when FBI is right there as well, and given the schedule, I think the safe pick is FBI.
Yeah, FBI doesn't play C9, so you're probably right there. You're probably right.
And
there.
They play... and they play Spawn.
Yeah, so. The 0.1 point scorer Spawn. I still can't believe 0.1 in 2 games. That is unbelievable. Imagine you hit the pick on it, and so you got 0.15 instead.
I'm not even sure the backup is right now. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but bring him up if this is the case. Like, just give him a chance.
I'm dying of thinking about hitting that pick, be like, hell yeah, and then getting an extra 1/20th of a point. Oh Seriously. My god. Oh gosh, anything more to touch on in these rankings?
No, I mean, unfortunate thing is we have limited information as far as statistics. Now, obviously, the more we go on here, the more accurate it's going to get, hopefully, but sure. I just love looking at the numbers. So if anybody in the Discord or on Twitter, everyone wants to talk numbers and rankings and stats and whatnot, please, by all means, we go on for days if you really want to. I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure. And get in the Discord. That is the takeaway. Get in the Discord. All right, lock of the week. What do you got for lock of the week? Anything spicy?
So I got quite a few. I'll let you go first, and then I'll just pick whatever you didn't touch on mine.
Okay, I struggled with this a little bit because I feel like it's going to be pretty chalky this week. I don't see a lot of upsets happening. 100 Thieves is where mine's going to be. I think that I don't think we learned anything last week because I think what we learned is that C9 is better than 100 Thieves, but I don't think that would scare too many people to start. And so I think they proved themselves, and I know this was my lock last week, and it didn't totally work out. But I think Bjergsen finishes as the top mid. I think Closer's top 3. I think Double's top 3. I'm locking in 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so I had, in particular, Double Lift and Bjergsen as locks. I think, like you mentioned, every reason, so I won't touch on that any further. But I think both JoJo bounces back. They have the same schedule as 100 Thieves. I think he's arguably better than Bjerg, but they're vice versa at this point. And then I also have Core JJ, not only because I have him as number 1 support, but just because of the schedule in Immortals and Golden Guardians. I can't imagine he's not near the top for the support this week. So I think he's a lock for sure.
Yeah, I just want them to give him a Core JJ champion. I was watching some LEC today. In G2, picked in Draven Nautilus and just ran over the whole game through the bot lane. Like, do that for Core. Like, give him something that he can play on, that he can make plays. Stop giving him Lulu. I mean, come on. All right, fade of the week. Again, I don't know that this is too exciting, but yeah.
I mean,
go ahead. You go
kind
first.
Of the vice versa lock, right? I was just saying it's the opposite of the locks. So I know the numbers point otherwise, but Maples, I'm assuming we're going to see the Maple from last split. Maybe not as bad, but definitely brought back down to earth. And then Neo #bad blood. I think he's going to get smacked back down by just purely better AD carries than him. So I'm going to go Maple and Neo for my fades of the week.
Yeah, that's about what I had too, is TSM, right? And everyone's kind of hopping on the TSM bandwagon, and I hope they do, honestly. But EG, 100 Thieves, that's the 2 teams I had 1 and 2 in my power rankings to start the season. I don't see how they do well this week. Obviously, your projections have them tops, but you just proved that you don't believe in them. I don't believe in them either. We'll see. I think they come crashing back down to earth. But we'll see. I mean, I think it's hard to pick a fade of the week because I just don't see a lot of real close games down here. So I don't know. That was a tough one for me this week.
Definitely.
Anything to touch on? We are well over our allotted time.
No, I mean, I just thanks everybody for listening to the episode. Like you already mentioned, very long episode. There was so much to get to. Who knows? Maybe next week is just as long. Hopefully not. Yeah, we'll see how things go.
I hope we do a better job of keeping these short, because an hour is a long time to edit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, I know we said it a bunch of times. Follow us on Twitter. Hit us on the Discord. Check the YouTube channel. Now that we've got all these VODs, we'll be on YouTube. You can watch us talk about Fantasy LCS instead of just listening to us talk about Fantasy LCS. That is way better. Thank you, Biscuit, once again for joining us, or for being here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right. that is all for today. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is Pistons Wish and FairstBiscut, and we are signing off. Peace out.
Thank you.